Why don't you lay on my table, relax, and enjoy a lovely massage while you learn vocabulary connected to spas? Welcome to
Aprender Inglés con Reza y Craig.
Hello, and if you're a new listener to the podcast, you're very, very welcome. And if you've listened before, welcome back. With nearly 50 years of teaching between us, Reza and I are going to help you improve your English and take it to the next level. Are you feeling relaxed today, Reza?
Just thinking about the topic is already relaxing me. We're going to be talking about spa and massage.
It sounds wonderful. But before we take our clothes off, we have a voice message from Wessel from Brazil.
Hello, Reza and Craig. This is Wessel from Goiânia, a city in Brazil. I've been listening to your podcast since 2016, and nowadays I restarted from the beginning. Maybe I am an alcoholic. I just want to share an interesting fact regarding the episode of Ireland. Recently, I was reading a book by a very important historian in Brazil, Sérgio Buarque de Holanda, in which he claims that beyond the classical traditional history of the name Brazil, there's another history of why Brazil is called Brazil. Indeed, the traditional history said the name comes from a tree called pau-brasil. However, Sérgio Buarque said that the old maps used to show an island called O Brasil or Rei Brasil, which means Lucky Island, in the Celtic tradition. So, when this fact came across, I remember immediately my fellow teacher Reza, and I want to share this Irish influence in the name of Brazil. That's all. Thank you for everything.
Did you hear that, what Wessel said?
I heard it, and I heard the ka-ching. I heard the money going in the bank.
Because Wessel said correctly, listening to your podcast. Thank you. That means we are back up to 100 euros. Now, for new listeners who have no idea what we're talking about, we have been promised 100 euros from an anonymous sponsor who will give us 100 euros if you remember to say the preposition to after listen. And last week, somebody forgot, we went down to 95 euros. But we're back up to 100 because if you correctly say it, we get 5 euros up to 100. And if you make a mistake, we drop 5 euros. So we're back to 100 euros. Woo! Thank you.
Yes, the idea was that we would use the money that this mystery donor is going to give us for a nice meal at the end of the year. And, you know, we'd like to be able to have maybe, Wessel, a nice feijoada. We don't want to have to go to McDonald's with just 10 euros. So we could have a nice Brazilian meal with feijoada and nice Brazilian desserts. Or if you keep forgetting the two listeners, we'll have to have a Big Mac or something.
Did you have any idea, Reza, that Brazil might have Celtic roots?
That has blown my mind, Wessel. I had no idea that the word Brazil has a Celtic connection. Wow. That is fascinating, I have to say. You don't often associate Ireland or Celtic countries with Brazil. Very, very curious piece of information.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for letting us know. We love getting that message. One small thing, Wessel, in your message, you said when this fact came across. Now, full marks for using the phrasal verb to come across something, which means to find by accident. But it's better to say when I came across this fact, which really means when I found this fact or discovered this fact, when I came across this fact. What's next, Reza?
We've got another voice message, and it's also from Latin America. But this time we're going to move a little bit north and go to Colombia and listen to Ruben.
Hello, Reza. Hello, Craig. I am Ruben, and I started listening to your podcast since the pandemic. Since then, I haven't stopped. I remember that I even listened to you while playing on my Xbox console through the Spotify platform, which was weird, I admit, but my teacher told me it was good exercise. I mean, trying my subconscious, you know. Well, I think this has worked, or at least it has made me an alcoholic, I admit. I would like some advice to improve the pronunciation of the letter S when I speak in English. This is especially difficult for me because even in Spanish, due to the region in which I grew up, we don't correctly pronounce the letter S. For example, ¿para dónde vamos? Here in the coast region in Colombia, we say ¿pa dónde vamos? We don't usually pronounce this letter very well. Please help. Bye bye.
Well, Ruben, thanks very much for your message. And the first thing I have to say is, although you ask about pronunciation, I have to say your pronunciation was very good. I think you pronounced all the S sounds correctly. Am I right, Craig?
Yes, I went back and listened a second time. Was, this, has, subconscious, advice, pronounce, all of those words, even Xbox, which doesn't really have an S, but it's kind of an S, it's a X sound, Xbox. All of those you pronounced absolutely perfectly. There was just one word I noticed where the S was missing, and that was exercise. You said, my teacher told me it was good exercise. You should say exercise. I think you are worrying a little too much. I don't know if you were trying specifically on those words I mentioned to sound the S, but I think it's something that's more common when you speak Spanish in Colombia than when you're speaking English. I think you're worrying too much about it. What do you think, Reza?
You could be right, Craig. It could be that, or maybe you've made a really, really, really big effort to get it right this time. But I have noticed, that it can happen with Spanish people as well, particularly if they come from a part of Spain. So it's not only Colombia, right? There are parts of Spain where they don't pronounce the S so much. Andalucía, they say buenos días, gracias. And I found that students like that sometimes can be a little bit slack. Slack is not strict about the pronunciation of S's, which can cause problems in English sometimes. We don't know if you're saying a singular or a plural, for example, and that can cause problems, and a few other things. But honestly, Ruben, if you normally speak the way you've just spoken, you were clear with your S's.
Just one small thing I noticed at the very start of your message, Ruben. You said, I am Ruben, which I think is a direct translation from Spanish. It's more common to say, this is Ruben, or it's Ruben here, when you begin a message. And Ruben and Wessel both said that they're alcoholics, Reza. For our new listeners, they might think that's an alcoholic, but it's not, is it?
Yes, we're not sure how many alcoholics listen to us, but they're very welcome. But an AIRC, which is different, AIRC, an alcoholic is a self-professed, that means they admit it, they're self-professed, they admit that they are addicted, that's why we say holic, but they're addicted to AIRC, aprender inglés con Resi Craig. So, Ruben is a self-professed or self-confessed alcoholic.
And speaking of alcoholics, long-time friend of the show, Veronica Morfin, sent us an email recently. She's been in touch before. It's always a pleasure to hear from Veronica. Veronica asks us to talk about spa service and any vocabulary connected with this service industry, because Veronica is involved in tourism. And she mentions things like deep tissue massage, relaxing massage, wrap of chocolate, which got me interested immediately, seaweed, which is algas in Spanish, seaweed, and so on. So she's asking us to look at this kind of vocabulary, then we'll do that in a second. Also, before we do that, Veronica asked how we would reply to a complaint from a lady in regards to a comment that she felt uncomfortable receiving a massage from a male therapist, or vice versa. It could be a complaint from a man receiving a massage from another man. What do you think about that?
How would you deal with it?
Is it sexist to say, no, I don't want a massage from another man?
No, obviously the customers, in my book, the customer's always right. So if the customer...
Most of the time.
I think it's unreasonable for the customer to insist that it be from someone of the opposite sex. That sounds suspicious. So for a man to insist that it's a woman who gives the massage sounds a bit unusual to me. So I wouldn't...
Like maybe they want a happy ending.
Exactly. I'm sure you've heard that, unfortunately, Veronica. A euphemism, a massage with a happy ending is not a serious massage, not a proper massage. It's a euphemism, a way of saying, an erotic service. Sadly, the massage industry gets abused in that way. But we're talking about a proper massage, a real massage. For me, it seems unreasonable to insist that it be the opposite sex, but it does seem reasonable if the customer insists on the same sex. I can understand that. For example, if a woman insists that it's a woman, that seems reasonable to me. Would you say so?
Yes, I would, although I spent some time thinking about this and two thoughts occurred to me. Firstly, I think I would be uncomfortable receiving a massage from another man.
So you would insist on it being a woman?
No, I wouldn't. I would not have the massage. Because I was thinking, why would I feel uncomfortable? It's such an intimate thing to have a massage, and I wouldn't be comfortable with another man giving me a massage. I'd prefer not to have one. And the second thing that occurred to me, when you go to see a GP, and a GP is a family doctor, and you have to have a very intimate examination. If it's another woman, I'd feel uncomfortable. If the woman was touching my private parts, for example. And I wonder how females feel with a male gynecologist. So those things occurred to me, and I really don't have an answer, but it is a very interesting question.
I have had a massage from a male. I've also had massages from a female.
Did you feel okay with it?
Didn't bother me at all. They were very, very good. Did a really good job. For me, it doesn't really make a difference as long as they're good.
I just feel very exposed. I don't like the idea of another man touching my naked body.
Right, but you like the idea of a woman touching your naked body?
No, I don't. I just feel more comfortable for some reason. I'd feel more comfortable, and I can't explain why. Anyway, thank you, Veronica, for your question. We'll look at some vocabulary in a second. One important distinction before we begin is don't confuse the word massage, M-A-S-S-A-G-E, with message, M-E-S-S-A-G-E. The vowel sounds are very different. Massage is originally from the French word massage, and message, the second vowel sound is I. Message is something you leave on a mobile phone or send to us. You send us a text message or a voice message. So message and massage are easily confused.
And just to add to your confusion, sorry, but I have to, the pronunciation, there's two ways of doing the stress. That's el emphasis. I noticed that Craig said massage. Fine. You can also say massage if you want.
That's true.
They're both correct. So that's extra confusion. You can say massage or massage. However, with the other word, un mensaje, it's always message. Yeah, that's the other word which we're not talking about. The stress is always in the first syllable. But for the word we're talking about today, actually you can have it in the first or the second syllable. You can say massage, as Craig just said, but I tend to say massage. But we're both right.
Yes.
Both are correct.
And to confuse you even more, massage or massage is the thing that the person gives you. You can have a foot massage, you can have a full body massage, but the person who gives it to you, the word depends if they're male or female. And because they're French words, if it's a woman, it's a masseuse. M-A-S-S-E-U-S-E. And if it's a man, it's a masseur, M-A-S-S-E-U-R. And these words and all of the vocabulary from today you can find listed in the show notes at inglespodcast.com/404.
Okay, so we're going to talk about spa and massage treatment in general. You don't have to, but if you'd feel more comfortable taking off some of your clothes or relaxing, maybe getting into a bathrobe or being completely naked, go ahead. We don't mind. It's up to you.
Light some incense, sit back and relax.
Oh, a bit of incense or, one of those lovely candles, or an essential oil. Go ahead. Go for it. We don't mind.
Reza just mentioned the word treatment, which is often used in this area of vocabulary. You can have a spa treatment. Now, treatment is often associated with medical help. You're treated for something. But treatment is often used in the world of self-care and well-being and spas. So a treatment is a non-medical procedure in this context that's intended to improve your overall health, your general health.
So as I'm sure you're aware, there are many, many, many types of treatment these days. For example, you could bathe, that's B-A-T-H-E, if it's the verb to bathe. You could bathe in specialized therapeutic pools for therapy, such as hot springs. They could be natural hot springs, or they could be man-made, they could be artificial. For example, Japanese onsens or Roman thermal baths. They're very old, but they're man-made. They've been around for a few thousand years, but the Romans made them. Also, thalasso, which is revitalizing the body through seawater. So they put seawater into pools. I think it comes from the Greek word for sea, is thalassos or something like that.
That's a new word for me, thalasso. I haven't heard that before. I knew about onsens because when I was in Japan years ago, I went to an onsen. It was a wonderful experience, and obviously Romans were very famous for their thermal baths, but thalasso is new. Is it common in Europe?
I don't think it's common here yet, but it's quite common in North America.
And when we look at the word massage, there are several collocations that go with the word massage, depending on the particular style or discipline of the massage. In Thailand, you can have a Thai massage. Thai would be the adjective, Thai. And from Sweden, of course, Swedish massages are very common. And another collocation, a deep tissue massage. That's not the tissue you use to blow your nose with. That's the body tissue that you have that's connecting your muscles and your bones and everything inside your body. So it goes very deep inside the tissue of your body. And sports massages are very common if you're a sports person. And a Japanese Shiatsu massage you may have heard of. Shiatsu in English is finger pressure. That's the meaning of Shiatsu. So there's pressure on your body through the palm, through the fingers of the hand. Can you think of others, Reza?
I've heard of, although I haven't tried it myself, Hawaiian massage from Hawaii. They call it lomi lomi, Hawaiian massage. And also, of course, a very ancient traditional Indian form is Ayurvedic massage, using the principles of Ayurveda. Of all those types, apart from a kind of conventional European standard massage, I've actually done Shiatsu. Have you?
I haven't, no. What was Shiatsu like? Was it relaxing?
Fantastic.
Did it hurt? Was it painful?
Not at all, no. And strangely enough, I did it in Belfast, not Japan. And the person who did it was Spanish. But so it was a very kind of cosmopolitan Shiatsu. Fantastic. And the thing I remember about it, which was slightly unusual, I thought, but didn't bother me, no problem, they don't touch your bare skin. With Shiatsu, you keep on a thin layer of clothing.
Really?
They don't need to touch your skin.
You wear very loose trousers and a shirt, yeah, and they massage you through the clothes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know if you can take your clothes off, but it's not necessary. So they recommend a thin layer of cotton. I found that interesting.
I'd be comfortable with a man doing that to me. through clothes, I think. That wouldn't bother me. You may have heard of the word wrap, and I don't mean rap as in the music, R-A-P, I mean W-R-A-P. The verb to wrap. If you wrap a present, you put paper around it. You can wrap birthday presents and Christmas presents, and you can also buy sandwiches that are called wraps because the bread, the very thin bread, is wrapped around the ingredients or the filling. You can also have body wraps. So they can wrap hot blankets around your body as a health treatment. They can also wrap your body with mud. So mud wraps. Mud has various minerals that are good for you in it, and wrapping your body in mud can be very healthy. Or you can have your body wrapped in herbal compounds to improve the quality of your skin and relax you.
We'd better explain mud, Craig. I bet loads of people don't know the word mud. What do you mean by a mud wrap?
Mud is a substance, for example, if you go out into the garden or you go somewhere in the forest where there's earth on the floor, if you make that earth wet, for example, when it rains, you get mud, which is a kind of a semi-solid, semi-liquid, something that you can then spread around your body. Because obviously if you just pick up earth or dirt from the ground and you put it on your skin, it would fall off. It wouldn't stay there. But if you mix it with water, you get mud, and that will stick to your skin. That will stay on your skin.
Apart from massages, there are other therapies where they work with the body. They call them bodywork or bodywork therapies. And there's lots and lots of varieties. And every year it seems they invent a new one. But we're going to mention just some of the more popular, the more commonly used ones. For example, you've probably heard of osteopathy.
That's something to do with the back, isn't it?
The back or the bones in general, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Because osteo comes from the Latin word, I think, for bone. Mm-hmm. So treating the bones. Yeah, principally the back, but other places as well. I'm sure you've all heard of physiotherapy. Of course, physiotherapy can be given to you in a conventional hospital. So physiotherapy is very flexible. It can be prescribed through a conventional doctor, or you can go privately, and there are many subdivisions of physiotherapy. For example, hydrotherapy, which is basically physiotherapy, but in water. Again, the origins of the word go back to ancient times. Hydro, it comes from the Greek word for water. So hydrotherapy is basically physiotherapy in water, which I've done. It's very nice, by the way. Another thing I've done is the Alexander Technic, which is very obsessed with posture. The Alexander Technique, it's very important to sit straight, get your back right, the position of your head, basically to stand up and sit up straight and tall and get the full potential out of the length of your spine. Your spine is the most important bone in your body, going from your neck down to your bottom.
There are many other kinds of therapy that you could do, such as reflexology, Reiki. We won't go into detail here because we did speak about alternative medicine back in episode 126. So if you're interested in learning more about different kinds of therapy, go and listen to that episode in inglespodcast.com/126. Now, after you do sports, if you're a professional sports person, a sportsman or a sportswoman, it's very common to have a rub down. Now, a rub down is where a professional therapist will rub your body, put their hands on your muscles and move your muscles around to loosen them up and make you feel better. You can also get this treatment at a spa. So there's a verb to rub down, and you can use this as a noun, a rub down, a phrasal noun.
But apart from at spas, you can see on TV most days of the week somebody getting a rub down, because professional footballers get it as they go on and off the pitch, probably administered by a sports physiotherapist. So they get the rub down either going on or going off the pitch. One thing they don't get on the pitch, although they probably do get in their free time, is a facial. So a facial, when I use it as a noun, so facial can be an adjective referring to the face, but if I say facial, it means I'm getting therapy or beauty treatment performed on my face.
Have you ever had a facial massage?
No, I haven't. What about you?
I have. I have had a facial massage. Very, very relaxing. It's amazing how relaxed you feel because a lot of tension is caught up in your face, your facial muscles. And it's very, very relaxing, a facial massage. Definitely recommended.
I bet you've also had a sauna or a steam bath.
I have. Now, you can have a dry or a wet sauna. Which do you prefer?
Wet. I've had both myself. I prefer wet.
I prefer dry, which is the Swedish kind, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer the dry one. I think the wet one is the Turkish, correct?
Yes, well, I'm sure there's other countries do it as well, but in Turkey, for sure, the famous hammam, or Turkish steam bath, has been around a long time. I'll never forget the time when I was in my early 20s and I went to a hammam, a Turkish steam bath.
You worked in Turkey, didn't you?
I worked in Turkey, yeah, teaching English. So in Istanbul, I went to a Turkish steam bath, which was about 400 years old. The building was about 400 or 500 years old.
Wow.
And all that time, it had been used as a steam bath. That was something else. To think that people had been doing that for 500 years in the same place was amazing.
Yeah, amazing. Jacuzzi is another treatment you could have at a spa, Jacuzzi, or in American English, ZI, a jacuzzi, which is water treatment, isn't it? Where jets of water are directed at your muscles in your body to relax you.
It's originally a Japanese word, but it's pretty much become international now. You can get a jacuzzi anywhere. Another type of therapy you could get at a spa is aromatherapy, using what they call essential oils, oils which are supposedly essential for your health. So it's the aroma, it's the smell of these oils which makes you feel better.
I'm not sure about that expression, essential oils. Now, I'm 58 years old and I've never had aromatherapy, so I wonder how essential they really are, these oils. Maybe they should call them optional oils.
Maybe, but that's the expression.
How essential are they really?
We already mentioned Thalasso Therapy, which is using seawater. You could also have balneotherapy, which is using mineral baths. So not seawater, but mineral water from inland water sources. Or I already mentioned hydrotherapy, which is basically physiotherapy, but underwater.
And there's another one here, a treatment that you've added, Reza, which maybe Veronica has heard of, and I have never heard of this, although it does sound quite invasive, and that's colonic irrigation. What's that?
It's by far the most invasive of all the treatments we've mentioned.
Does it go where the sun doesn't shine?
You said it. That's where it goes. It's not new at all. It goes way back to at least the 1950s. It's been popular in the United States amongst the rich and famous. So it's not a new treatment. So irrigation, cleaning something with water. Colonic, cleaning your colon. So your colon inside your body is a very important place to keep clean, but very often it gets blocked with dirt. So it's very invasive. Somehow they shoot water up, and yes, they do it there through that place where the sun doesn't shine into your body.
Your bottom. Yeah.
And then the water, as we all know how gravity works, the water goes up and it will come down again, and it eventually comes down with the debris, the dirt which you didn't want.
Niagara Falls.
Exactly. And it's not going to exactly be pure water when it comes back down again, but this cleansing process, it cleans you. And it's a medical fact that it works. I mean, this was invented not by new age hippie type people, but in serious conventional hospitals.
I'm sure it's very healthy. It sounds a bit like a pain in the arse, but I'm sure it's very, very healthy. And speaking of pains, waxing. Waxing is another treatment that you could have at a spa. And waxing basically removes hair from your body. And I was doing some research on the internet, and there's one kind of waxing that I had heard of, and that's Brazilian waxing. And there's another kind of waxing that I hadn't heard of, and it's Hollywood waxing. Do you know the difference?
No, but I've heard of both of them. There's French, Brazilian, Hollywood, and a few others. What's the difference?
Well, I'm not sure about French, but Brazilian is where most of the hair is removed. So there's obviously the bikini wax that removes the hair that you will not see when you're wearing a bikini. There's Brazilian wax that leaves a strip of hair, a short, narrow piece of hair, kind of like a runway there. But Hollywood waxing, made popular because it's very common in Hollywood, is removing all of the hair. So around that area in the lower parts of the body, it removes absolutely everything from the sack to the crack, so to speak, around your bottom.
Using wax. So wax is thera. Yeah, the same material that's used to make candles.
Correct?
Yeah, so it goes on hot, I guess, or quite warm. Then they let it cool.
And it comes
and
off
then
quickly.
Take it off quick.
Have you ever had a wax?
Never. Have you?
No.
Like most men, and notice I say men, not women, I'm not brave enough to do it.
I think it's quite painful. You have to be very motivated, I think.
Only women have got the guts to do it.
Yeah, women are braver. Another thing that women often do is nail care. A manicure and pedicure. Manicures take care of your hands, your fingernails, and pedicures take care of your feet, your toenails. So nail care is another service that a spa might offer.
Another treatment that's popular these days in spas is eyebrow threading. So your eyebrow is the hair above your eye, and a thread, un hilo, it's a little piece of material. It goes through the eyebrow, and that way they can pluck out. To pluck out is to take away at the root hairs. Apparently, it's much better for your body, much more natural and much safer than cutting them with a pair of scissors. So that's the way they tend to do it these days. They put in a bit of thread, then they pull the thread, and that plucks out your eyebrow.
Is that painful?
Apparently not very. No, not half as painful as plucking it out with the finger.
Yeah.
And it's much better for the regrowth of the eyebrows. If you cut them, they don't grow back so well, apparently. It's not new. The Indians have been doing it for centuries, apparently.
Interesting. Another one I saw that I'm not sure what this is exactly. Maybe you can help me here, Reza. Inhalation therapy. I know what the verb to inhale means. It means to take into your body. For example, when you breathe and you breathe air in to your body, you are inhaling. But what kind of therapy involves inhaling, and what do you inhale into your body?
Well, you might inhale some of the essential oils, which we mentioned earlier in
The
Aromatherapy.
optional oils.
Yeah, which are optional, exactly. Or some other special preparation that the therapist has prepared. So the reason that people do this is the idea that by inhaling, by breathing in deeply into your lungs, certain vapors with certain substances in them, it will help not only your breathing, but your general well-being and your health, because these chemicals, natural chemicals that you'll be breathing in, are good for the body. So it tends to be done in an environment where there's a lot of steam and what you breathe in is controlled.
Another word associated strongly with spas and this kind of treatment is a retreat. Now, you may have heard the word retreat when speaking about war. For example, the army attacks and the other army retreats or goes back. But the idea of going on a retreat to improve your health has become very popular. So a retreat is basically a specific holiday with a purpose of perhaps losing weight or de-stressing and relaxing, maybe detoxing from alcohol or bad substances in your diet, or maybe just doing yoga for a few days or a week. In fact, I went on a meditation retreat many years ago for 10 days, and it was 10 days of only meditation. So a retreat takes you away from your daily routine to do something specific for a period of time.
Would you describe that retreat you went on as boot camp?
It was a boot camp because it taught you meditation from the ground up, which means from beginners to being able to meditate by yourself. So boot camp is like retreat, another word that's been borrowed from the army. Boot camp training is the basic training when you first begin military service. But a boot camp can be another name for a retreat.
And have you ever been in a retreat or have you ever been in a spa where you really pampered yourself?
What does that mean, to pamper yourself?
To pamper is to treat very, 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 very well. So you can pamper another person or you can pamper yourself. Often when people go to a spa or a retreat, the objective is to pamper themselves. Have you ever really pampered yourself?
I haven't, no, not on any kind of retreat or weekend boot camp. But I think recently, didn't you go away for a long weekend, maybe 3 days, to a hotel that had a spa in the hotel?
Yeah, it was a spa hotel. Yep,
Did you pamper yourself?
I did. That was the objective, and I did. I went for a weekend, and there was all sorts of treatments. There was 3 different types of steam bath. There was Swedish, there was Turkish, there was something else I can't even remember. There was hydrotherapy, there was massage, there was aromatherapy, there was balneal therapy. Thankfully, there wasn't colonic irrigation. I would have objected to that. There was all sorts of ways of pampering.
I was about to be wasting the lovely food you had in the restaurant.
Exactly. The food was also really good. Yeah. Yeah, don't go to a fancy restaurant just before colonic irrigation. A bit of a waste of money, right?
So we hope you've enjoyed this podcast on spas and massage, and now it's your turn. Please send us a voice message and practice your English. Tell us your name, where you're from, and maybe an idea for a future episode. You can send your voice messages, not massages, your voice messages to speakpipe.com, speakpipe.com/Ingles podcast. Or if you prefer to contact us by email, you can find me, Craig, Craig, at inglespodcast.com. Or to reach Reza, go to belfastreza, Reza, at gmail.com.
We also recommend that you have a look at the online store related to the Mansión Inglés. Go to store, that's store.mansioningles.net, and there you will see a variety of very useful material which, in addition to the podcast, could really help you improve your English.
And before we go out the door today, we'd like to say a huge thank you to everybody supporting us on Patreon. You can join our Patreon program for as little as $1.20 per month, including VAT, that's value-added tax. And if you join Patreon, you get instant access to recent transcriptions so that you can read all of the words that Reza and I say in the podcast. For more information, go to Patreon, patreon.com/Ingles podcast. And before we go, we'd like to say a big thank you to recent subscribers to our Patreon program. Who are they, Reza?
Our most recent supporters are Maria del Carmen de la Torre, Luciana Shuao, Jocoque, Camila Caputo Saldaña Serra, Jorge Alberto Borda, Eva Taberne, Iris o Iris RC, Alberto Velasco Niña, Patricio Hernandez Huescar, Aden Psicología, and Lander Ochoa Eguilegor.
Thank you to all of you who are supporting us on Patreon. We really appreciate your continued support. Reza, what's next week?
Next week, we've got abbreviations.
Well, we'll be speaking about abbreviations ASAP, and if you don't know what that means, join us next week and we'll tell you. Until next time, thank you very much for listening this week. Thank you, Veronica, for your question. It's goodbye from Reza.
And it's goodbye from Craig.
The music in this podcast is by Pitts. The track is called See You Later.